Well, we've been talking Easter today and continuing to do so with the wonderful Tanya Unkovic. Tanya, how are you?
I am very well. I feel very rejuvenated after Easter.
So I've got a question that I'm asking everyone today. Can you sum up your Easter in 3 words? Is it even possible?
Jesus loves me.
Oh,
That's what I felt when I was in church.
lovely.
I really felt his love. Yeah.
Jesus loves me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is just absolutely beautiful. So we're talking Easter today, and in particular Lent, because I think often what happens on Sunday is that we're all done with our Lent and then we move on quite swiftly. But lessons learned from this time. Let's delve into this one today. Tanya, did you do Lent this year?
I did actually. I was very intentional and it wasn't perfect, but that's okay because I really did make some shifts. You know, one of the things I like to encourage everyone, if you didn't feel that it was perfect, and it probably wasn't, it doesn't matter. What did you learn from it?
So, if we want to be intentional about this one, because it is easy to kind of move forward without kind of looking back and maybe perhaps not putting in place some of those really great things we may have learned from Lent. How do we go about intentionally thinking about some of the lessons we've learned over this season?
Well, I always say get a pen and paper out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And spend a bit of time just journaling, writing down what was great about this Lenten season for me. What changes did I make and how has that positively impacted not only my life, but the life of my family and people around me? And what you can do is you can break it down physically, emotionally, spiritually, in your relationships, and also maybe professionally.
I mean,
so really be intentional.
Absolutely. So do you write down, what those things were that you're wanting to see change, and then what changes you actually did come about during that time?
Yeah. Well, look, if I decided that I was going to monitor my portions, how did that work for me? And how did it feel monitoring my portions and showing up, feeling healthier? What impact did that have on my emotional health? How did I notice that I was feeling emotionally by cutting back on how much food that I was eating? Did it bring me closer to the Lord by not stuffing myself and having the emotional energy and the time, extra time, to sit and be with the Lord? How did it affect my relationship? Did I find that I felt better in my body and felt a little bit more comfortable, and I wasn't so grumpy with everyone else because I wasn't full of bad food? And how did it affect my work life? Whether you're an employee or a business person, when we feed our bodies well, then we're going to show up very differently on the job. So how did that change for you during Lent? And really look at those changes. Write them down so you can see them in black and white.
I guess, too, it's about looking at that time and celebrating the wins, but also going, well, what could I have done differently?
Yeah, and we don't allow ourselves to celebrate. You know, we often have this story, oh, don't show off. But I'm saying, well, yeah, show off a little bit. Just say, actually,
why not?
Why not? We're so quick to put ourselves down. So, yes, I did do well. It wasn't perfect every day of the week, but 5 days out of 7, my eating was better. I'm just using that as an example. So I'm really going to celebrate that. And, how come it didn't work so well on those other days? Well, I noticed in the weekends it was a bit more of a struggle, but let's see what I can learn from that.
Yeah. I mean, this is really good stuff. And I'm applying what I did over Lent to what you're saying right now. So my plan, and it honestly didn't always work, Tanya, was to spend at least 30 minutes every night, generally when I got home, because I'm a bit fresher than later on in the evening, just spending time in the Bible and and also journaling. So Bible and journaling. And some nights that went really well, and some nights I didn't do it at all. So, and how did I feel emotionally, spiritually, professionally afterwards? Well, probably I would say better than if I hadn't been doing it. And what was great was as we headed towards Easter, I'd been reading again that story of Jesus. And and in terms of that, spiritually, it did give that sense of feeling closer to my Maker.
Yeah. So imagine how I always say to people, well, why stop at Lent? Why not extend it
Mm.
for another 6 to 12 weeks? So
Yes.
imagine if you, instead of, what I say, 4 out of 7 days, you
Mm.
see what it's like for the next 6 weeks if you did 5 out of 7 days and see what that shift might make, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I totally agree. So, when it comes to sort of being intentional about learning lessons or understanding some of the lessons we've learned from this time, I love the idea of saying, well, why not bring it even further? And what I'm guessing you could say, well, what are some of the things that I could do differently this time around where maybe I could succeed more?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I felt the benefit of taking social media off my phone.
Right.
I left Instagram on, I'll confess, but I'm not really someone who scrolls. But I did notice quite a difference by not having the other ones on, the other apps on my phone. So what I did at the end of Lent, instead of adding them back on again, I took Instagram off because I saw
Oh,
such a difference. Yeah, God
wow.
bless Instagram. I have nothing against Instagram. But I thought, even if it's 10 minutes a day that I go in there and message or something,
Yeah.
that 10 minutes a day I could pray or do something else, and it's not urgent. It actually can be a time waster. So, that I'm going to extend that out
Mm.
and see how else can I use that time.
I think that's so encouraging, actually, Tanya. I mean, well
Is
done
it?
you, because a lot of people, and myself included, would struggle with not having easy access to some of these social medias. So to experience what it's like to not have it, such a
Oh,
good idea.
it is. It's great. Well, the thing is, you do get into this habit when you're sitting. Let's say you're waiting in the car for something or
Mm,
you're waiting for something. How easy is it that we pick up the phone and start scrolling? It's
mm,
it's becoming so automatic. And now I don't just take the app off my home screen. I delete it off my phone. And it's breaking the habit. It's breaking the
yeah.
habit. And I cannot tell you how much better I feel. So, just try something, anything that will help you lead a more present and mindful life.
I think this is really good stuff. And I think too, thinking also, how has this benefited other people by me doing it? Now, I think for me, it just meant that for 30 minutes, my family didn't really have any access to me. I'm like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no. I'm going to journal and do my Bible reading. That was probably in some ways quite good for them. I'm not sure. But it did kind of mean that it was saying, actually, this is really, really important to me. Can you, for 30 minutes, just take a step back? So I'm thinking that you're having no social media on your phone probably made an impact on those around you as well, would you say?
Oh, yeah. Hubby got to see his wife's face instead of her forehead or the crown of her skull.
That's funny, Tanya.
you
Oh,
know, and
yeah,
I'd rather spend a few more minutes speaking with him
yeah.
instead of scrolling on the phone. So yeah,
Mm.
I'm so thrilled I've done it, and it's quite freeing, to be honest.
So I'm thinking the question to ask now as we wrap up today is putting it out there to the audience. What would your first action step be when it comes to taking on board some of those lessons learned from Lent?
Yeah. So when Di and I finish this interview, what is one tangible action step you are going to do when we stop talking to be progress for your next 6 or 12 months?
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really great question, and I think it puts into action possibly some of the deepest desires of our heart, because maybe for a lot of us, the reasons why we did this Lenten journey was because we recognized there was something in us that needed to change. Tanya, thank you so much for being a part of the show today. Now, you've got an exciting something coming up a little later this week. Can you divulge even just a little bit?
Oh, yes, yes. I'm having a little gathering at my home, launching my book, From Grief to Greatness. So it's now time to intentionally put my book out there and bring some friends and family together to celebrate. So yes, quite a big mission, and yeah, acknowledge myself and everyone who was involved in the process. So, and of course, cook up a storm.
Always food, right, Tanya?
Always.
Hey,
In moderation.
all the best and look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.